Welcome to the worlds of M.W. Lewis. It is cold pretty much across the entire United States. So, as you sit inside wondering if it will warm up enough to wear your flip flops soon, those of you in Florida and Texas, or if it'll warm up enough for the snowbanks to start to melt, and that's pretty much everywhere else not on the West Coast, how about you listen to old MW read some great literature? In this edition of Great Lit, I'm going to read portions of Morte DArthur, Volume 1 and 2, King Arthur and of his Noble Knights of the Round Table. There is a lot that could be said about these volumes, these collections of tales assembled by a 15th century British lord, Sir Thomas Malory. His sources are varied and include old British tales, legends, French romances. For what purpose Sir Malory put this work together is well considered. Was it a political commentary on the volatile world of Lancastrian England disguised as a knight errantry story? Yeah, probably. Whatever the point was, is kind of lost to history. And not many people got the point at the time of the writing until after Malory's death, when English merchant, diplomat, and writer William Craxton set up a printing press in Westminster in 1476. The first tale to fly hot off his press was the Canterbury Tales, and then he got his hands on Malory's manuscript and printed it second, or so that's what I've heard. Craxton was also a translator and brought to the English language many recognizable stories, such as the History of Troy, which is essentially the Iliad, but he called it the History of Troy, and Aesop's Fables, among other things. Now, when it comes to modern beliefs about the Arthurian legend, I think it is safe to say that many D&D and RPG fans and sword and sorcery fans, especially in the USA, are most familiar with John Boorman's 1981 sword and sorcery flick, Excalibur, or later tales. There's a TV series. There's many later tales about this. I'm most familiar with Excalibur. And I'm pointing, for those listening, behind me are the posters on my studio wall. Dragon Slayer, Excalibur, and Star Wars, three of my favorite movies of all time. So I believed, as many of you might have believed, thanks to the critics at the time, saying that Boorman's movie was one of the closest renderings of this Malory's tale ever, would be shocked, like I was, if you actually read Malory's work, which I wasn't going to do in the 80s. I was reading other fun stuff like Piers Anthony and all kinds of other fun stuff that I was reading at the time. I didn't want to read some archaically written work from the 15th century. That would be too difficult for me at that time. So I finally did it this last fall. I finally read the whole thing after downloading it on my Kindle about 15 years ago and attempting to read it a couple times in that period of time and never really having the tolerance or the patience to do it. I finally did it this past fall, and I got through it. I read the whole thing from beginning to end, and I was shocked. I was shocked. I went back and read the reviews of Boorman's movie, and to say that movie was the closest adaptation of the original work that you can find is like saying Pluto is closer to Andromeda than Earth. It is still pretty damn far away. So with all of that, I didn't intend to read it at all on this show until I got to the ending, and I said, I ought to destroy the veil of belief that the story, Malory's story of King Arthur. Because there are other stories about King Arthur that predate Malory. But I think most of you, because you watched Excalibur, think you know the tale that's depicted in Malory's story. And I want to break that veil of belief right now and over the next couple great lits, probably two more, as I read portions of Morte DArthur. And in today's portion, we'll start right at the beginning, right at the begatting, right at the begatting. Yeah, I'm talking about his dad and his mum, Uther and Igraine. Book 1, Chapter 1, How Uther Pendragon sent for the Duke of Cornwall and Igraine, his wife, and of their departing suddenly again. It befell in the days of Uther Pendragon, when he was king of all England, and so reigned, that there was a mighty duke in Cornwall that held war against him a long time. And the duke was called the Duke of Tintagel. And so by means King Uther sent for this duke, charging him to bring his wife with him, for she was called a fair lady, and a passing wise, and her name was called Igraine. So when the duke and his wife were come unto the king, by the means of great lords they were accorded both. The king liked and loved this lady well, and he made them great cheer out of measure, and desired to have lain with by her. But she was a passing good woman, and would not assent unto the king. And then she told the duke her husband, and said, I suppose that we were sent for that I should be dishonored. Wherefore, husband, I counsel you that we depart from hence suddenly, that we may ride all night unto our own castle. And in likewise, as she said so, they departed, that neither the king nor none of his council were aware of their departing. All so soon as King Uther knew of their departing, so suddenly he was wonderly wroth. Then he called to him his privy council, and told them of the sudden departing of the duke and his wife. Then they advised the king to send for the duke and his wife by a great charge, and if he will not come at your summons, then may ye do your best, then have ye cause to make mighty war upon him. So that was done, and the messengers had their answers, and that was this shortly, that neither he nor his wife would not come at him. Then was the king wonderly wroth, and then the king sent him plain word again, and bade him be ready, and stuff him, and garnish him, for within 40 days he would fetch him out of the biggest castle that he hath. When the duke had this warning, anon he went and furnished and garnished 2 strong castles of his, of the which the one hight Tintagel, and the other castle hight Tarabil. So his wife, Dame Igraine, he put in the castle of Tintagel, and himself he put in the castle of Tarabil, the which had many issues and posterns out. Then in all haste came Uther with a great host, and laid a siege about the castle of Tarabil. And there he piped many pavilions, and there was great war made on both parties, and much people slain. Then for pure anger and for great love of fair Igraine, the king Uther fell sick. So came to the king Uther Sir Ulfius, a noble knight, and asked the king why he was sick. I shall tell thee, said the king. I am sick for anger and for love of fair Igraine, that I may not be whole. Well, my lord, said Sir Ulfius, I shall seek Merlin, and he shall do you remedy, that your heart shall be pleased. So Ulfius departed, and by adventure he met Merlin in a beggar's array. And there Merlin asked Ulfius whom he sought, and he said he had little ado to tell him. Well, said Merlin, I know whom thou seekest, for thou seekest Merlin. Therefore seek no farther, for I am he. And if King Uther will well reward me, and be sworn unto me to fulfill my desire, that shall be his honor, and profit more than mine.
for I shall cause him to have all his desire. All this will I undertake, said Ulfius, that there shall be nothing reasonable, but thou shalt have thy desire. Well, said Merlin, he shall have his intent and desire. And therefore, said Merlin, ride on your way, for I will not be long behind. Chapter 2. How Uther Pendragon made war on the Duke of Cornwall, and how by the mean of Merlin he lay by the Duchess and gat Arthur. Then Ulfius was glad, and rode on more than a pace till he came to King Uther Pendragon, and told him he met with Merlin. Where is he? Said the king. Sir, said Ulfius, he will not dwell long. Therewithal Ulfius was aware where Merlin stood at the porch of the pavilion's door, and then Merlin was bound to come to the king. When King Uther saw him, he said he was welcome. Sir, said Merlin, I know all your heart every deal, so ye will be sworn unto me as ye be a true king anointed. To fulfill my desire, ye shall have your desire. Then the king was sworn upon the 4 evangelists. Sir, said Merlin, this is my desire. The first night that ye shall lie by Igraine, ye shall get a child on her, and when that is born, that it shall be delivered to me, for to nourish there as I will have it. For it shall be your worship, and the child's avail, as mickle as the child is worth. I will well, said the king, as thou wilt have it. Now make you ready, said Merlin. This night ye shall lie with Igraine in the castle of Tintagil, and ye shall be like the duke, her husband. Ulfius shall be like Sir Brastias, a knight of the duke's, and I will be like a knight that hight Sir Jordanus, a knight of the duke's. But wait, ye make not many questions with her, none her men, but say ye are diseased, and so hie you to bed, and rise not on the morn till I come to you. For the castle of Tintagil is but 10 miles hence. So this was done as they devised. But the Duke of Tintagil espied how the king rode from the siege of Terrabil, and therefore that night he issued out of the castle at a postern for to have distressed the king's host. And so through his own issue the duke himself was slain, or ever the king came at the castle of Tintagil. So after the death of the duke, King Uther lay with Igraine more than 3 hours after his death, and begat on her that night Arthur. And one day came Merlin to the king, and bade him make him ready. And so he kissed the lady Igraine, and departed in all haste. But when the lady heard tell of the duke her husband, and by all record he was dead, or ever King Uther came to her, then she marveled who that might be that lay with her in likeness of her lord. So she bore privily and held her peace. Then all the barons by one assent prayed the king of accord betwixt the lady Igraine and him. The king gave them leave, for fain would he have been accorded with her. So the king put all the trust in Ulfius to entreat between them. So by the entreaty at the last the king and she met together. Now will we do well, said Ulfius. Our king is a lusty knight and wifeless, and my lady Igraine is a passing fair lady. It were great joy unto us all, and it might please the king to make her his queen. Unto that they all well accorded, and moved it to the king. And anon, like a nice lusty knight, he assented thereto with good will, and so in all haste they were married in a morning with great mirth and joy. And King Lot of Lothian and of Orkney then wedded Margways, that was Gwain's mother, and King Netris of the land of Garlot wedded Elaine. All this was done at the request of King Uther, and the third sister, Morgan Le Fay, was put to school in a nunnery, and there she learned so much that she was a great clerk of necromancy. And after she was wedded to King Uriens of the land of Gore, that was Sir Ewain le Blanchemain's father. Chapter 3 of the birth of King Arthur and of his nurture. Then Queen Igraine waxed daily greater and greater. So it befell after within half a year, as King Uther lay by his queen, he asked her by the face she owed to him, whose was the body? Then she sore abashed to give answer. Dismay you not, said the king, but tell me the truth, and I shall love you the better by the faith of my body. Sir, said she, I shall tell you the truth. The same night that my lord was dead, the hour of his death, as his knights record, there came into my castle of Tintagel a man like my lord in speech and in countenance, and two knights with him in likeness of his two knights, Brastias and Jordanus. And so I went unto bed with him as I ought to do with my lord, and the same night, as I shall answer unto God, this child was begotten upon me. That is the truth, said the king, as ye say, for it was I myself that came in the likeness, and therefore dismay you not, for I am father of the child. And there he told her all the cause, how it was by Merlin's counsel. Then the queen made great joy when she knew who was the father of her child. Soon came Merlin unto the king, and said, Sir, ye must purvey you for the nourishing of your child. As thou wilt, said the king, be it. Well, said Merlin, I know a lord of yours in this land that is a passing true man and a faithful, and he shall have the nourishing of your child, and his name is Sir Ector, and he is a lord of fair livelihood in many parts in England and Wales. And the lord, Sir Ector, let him be sent for to come and speak with you, and desire him yourself, as he loveth you, that he will put his own child to nourishing to another woman, and that his wife will nourish yours. And when the child is born, let it be delivered to me at yonder privy postern unchristened. So like as Merlin devised, it was done. And when Sir Ector was come, he made fiance to the king for to nourish the child like as the king desired. And there the king granted Sir Ector great rewards. Then when the lady was delivered, the king commanded two knights and two ladies to take the child, bound in a cloth of gold, and that ye deliver him to what poor man ye meet at the postern gate of the castle. So the child was delivered unto Merlin, and so he bare it forth unto Sir Ector, and made a holy man to christen him, and named him Arthur. And so Sir Ector's wife nourished him with her own pap. During this musical interlude, take some time to like and subscribe to the Worlds of M.W. Lewis. Chapter 4 of the Death of King Uther Pendragon. Then within 2 years King Uther fell sick of a great malady, and in the meanwhile his enemies usurped upon him, and did a great battle upon his men, and slew many of his people. Sir, said Merlin, ye may not lie so as ye do, for ye must to the field, though ye ride on a horse litter. For ye shall never have the better of your enemies, but if your person be there, then shall ye have the victory. So it was done as Merlin had devised, and they carried the king forth in a horse litter with a great host towards his enemies. And at St. Albans there met with the king a great host of the north, and that day Sir Ulfius and Sir Brastias did great deeds of arms, and King Uther's men overcame the northern battle, and slew many people, and put the remnant to flight. And then the king returned unto London, and made great joy of his victory. And then he fell passing sore sick, so that 3 days and 3 nights he was speechless, wherefore all the barons made great sorrow, and asked Merlin what counsel were best. There is none other remedy, said Merlin, but God will have his will. But look ye, all barons, be before King Uther to morn, and God and I shall make him to speak. So on the morn all the barons with Merlin came to fore the king. Then Merlin said aloud unto King Uther, Sir, shall your son Arthur be king after your days of this realm with all the appurtenance? Then Uther Pendragon turned him and said in hearing of them all, I give him God's blessing and mine, and bid him pray for my soul, and righteously and worshipfully, that he claim the crown upon forfeiture of my blessing. And therewith he yielded up the ghost, and then he was interred as longed to a king. Wherefore the queen, fair Igraine, made great sorrow, and all the barons. Chapter 5. How Arthur was chosen king, and of wonders and marvels of a sword taken out of a stone by the said Arthur. Then stood the realm in great jeopardy long while, for every lord that was mighty of men made him strong, and many weened to have been king. Then Merlin went to the Archbishop of Canterbury and counselled him for to send for all the lords of the realm and all the gentlemen of arms, and they should to London come by Christmas upon pain of cursing. And for this cause that Jesus that was born on that night, that he would of his great mercy show some miracle, as he was come to be king of mankind, for to show some miracle who should be rightwise king of this realm. So the archbishop, by the advice of Merlin, sent for all the lords and gentlemen of arms, that they should come by Christmas even unto London. And many of them made them clean of their life, that their prayer might be the more acceptable unto God. So in the greatest church of London, whether it were Paul's or not, the French book maketh no mention, all the estates were long or day in the church for to pray. And when matins and the first mass was done, there was seen in the churchyard against the high altar a great stone 4 square, like unto a marble stone, and in midst thereof was like an anvil of steel a foot on high, and therein stuck a fair sword, naked by the point, and letters were written in gold upon the sword that said thus, Whoso pulleth out this sword of this stone and anvil is rightwise king born of all England. Then the people marveled and told it to the archbishop. I command, said the archbishop, that ye keep you within your church and pray unto God still, that no man touch the sword till the high mass be all done. So when all the masses were done, all the lords went to behold the stone and the sword. And when they saw the scripture, some essayed, such as would have been king. But none might stir the sword, nor move it. He is not here, said the archbishop, that shall achieve the sword, but doubt not God will make him known. But this is my counsel, said the archbishop, that we let purvey 10 knights, men of good fame, and they to keep this sword. So it was ordained, and then there was made a cry that every man should that would for to win the sword. And upon New Year's Day the barons let make jousts and a tournament, that all knights that would joust or tourney there might play. And all this was ordained for to keep the lords together and the commons, for the archbishop trusted that God would make him known that should win the sword. So upon New Year's Day, when the service was done, the barons rode unto the field, some to joust and some to tourney. And so it happened that Sir Ector, that had great livelihood about London, rode unto the jousts, and with him rode Sir Kay his son, and young Arthur, that was his nourished brother. And Sir Kay was made knight at All Hallowmass afore. So as they rode to the jousts ward, Sir Kay lost his sword, for he had left it at his father's lodging. And so he prayed young Arthur for to ride for his sword. I will well, said Arthur, and rode fast after the sword. And when he came home, the lady and all were out to see the jousting. Then was Arthur wroth, and said to himself, I will ride to the churchyard, and take the sword with me that sticketh in the stone, for my brother Sir Kay shall not be without a sword this day. So when he came to the churchyard, Sir Arthur alighted, and tied his horse to the stile, and so he went to the tent, and found no knights there, for they were at the jousting. And so he handled the sword by the handles, and lightly and fiercely pulled it out of the stone, and took his horse and rode his way until they came to his brother, Sir Kay, and delivered him the sword. And as soon as Sir Kay saw the sword, he wist well it was the sword of the stone, and so he rode to his father Sir Ector, and said, Sir, lo, here is the sword of the stone, where I must be king of this land. When Sir Ector beheld the sword, he returned again and came to the church, and there they alighted all three, and went into the church. And anon he made Sir Kay swear upon a book how he came to that sword. Sir, said Sir Kay, by my brother Arthur, for he brought it to me. How gat ye this sword? Said Sir Ector to Arthur. Sir, I will tell you. When I came home for my brother's sword, I found nobody at home to deliver me his sword. So I thought my brother Sir Kay should not be swordless, and so I came hither eagerly and pulled it out of the stone without any pain. Found ye any knights about this sword? Said Sir Ector. Nay, said Arthur. Now, said Sir Ector to Arthur, I understand ye must be king of this land. Wherefore I, said Arthur, and for what cause? Sir, said Ector, for God will have it so. For there should never man have drawn out this sword, but he that shall be rightwise king of this land. Now let me see whether you can put the sword there as it was, and pull it out again. That is no mastery, said Arthur. And so he put it in the stone. Wherewithal Sir Ector essayed to pull out the sword, and failed. Chapter 6, How King Arthur pulled out the sword divers times. Now assay, said Sir Ector unto Sir Kay, and anon he pulled at the sword with all his might, but it would not be. Now shall ye assay, said Sir Ector to Arthur. I will well, said Arthur, and pulled it out easily. And therewithal Sir Ector knelt down to the earth, and Sir Kay, Alas, said Arthur, my own dear father and brother, why kneel ye to me? Nay, nay, my lord Arthur, it is not so. I was never your father, nor of your blood, but I wot well ye are of a higher blood than I weened ye were. And then Sir Ector told him all, how he was betaken for to nourish him, and by whose commandment, and by Merlin's deliverance. Then Arthur made great dole when he understood that Sir Ector was not his father. Sir, said Ector unto Arthur, will ye be my good and gracious lord when ye are king? Else were I to blame, said Arthur, for ye are the man in the world that I am most beholden to, and my good lady and mother, your wife, that as well as her own hath fostered me and kept. And if ever it be God's will that I be king, as ye say, ye shall desire of me what I may do, and I shall not fail you. God forbid I should fail you, sir, said Sir Ector. I will ask no more of you, but that ye will make my son, your foster brother, Sir Kay, seneschal of all your lands. That shall be done, said Arthur, and more, by the faith of my body, that never man shall have that office but he, while he and I live. Therewithal they went unto the archbishop, and told him how the sword was achieved, and by whom. And on 12th day all the barons came thither, and to assay to take the sword, who that would assay. But there afore them all, there might none take it out but Arthur. Wherefore there were many lords wroth, and said it was a great shame unto them all and the realm to be overgoverned with a boy of no high blood born. And so they fell out at the time that it was put off till Candlemas, and then all the barons should meet there again. But always the 10 knights were ordained to watch the sword day and night, and so they set a pavilion over the stone and the sword, and 5 always watched. So at Candlemas many more great lords came thither for to have won the sword, but there might none prevail. And right as Arthur did at Christmas, he did at Candlemas, and pulled out the sword easily, whereof the barons were sore aggrieved, and put it off in delay till the high feast of Easter. And as Arthur sped before, so did he at Easter. Yet there were some of the great lords had indignation that Arthur should be king, and put it off in a delay till the feast of Pentecost. Then the Archbishop of Canterbury, by Merlin's providence, let purvey then of the best knights that they might get, and such knights as Uther Pendragon loved best and most trusted in his days. And such knights were put about Arthur as Sir Baldwin of Britain, Sir Kay, Sir Ulfius, Sir Brastias, and all these, with many other, were always about Arthur day and night till the feast of Pentecost. Chapter 7. How King Arthur was crowned, and how he made officers. And at the feast of Pentecost, all manner of men assayed to pull at the sword that would assay, but none might prevail but Arthur, and pulled it out before all the lords and commons that were there. Wherefore all the commons cried at once, We will have Arthur unto our king. We will put him no more in delay, for we all see that it is God's will that he shall be our king, and who that holdeth against it, we will slay him. And therewithal they kneeled at once, both rich and poor, and cried Arthur mercy, because they had delayed him so long. And Arthur forgave them, and took the sword between both his hands, and offered it upon the altar where the archbishop was. And so was he made knight of the best man that was there, and so anon was the coronation made, and there was he sworn unto his lords and the commons for to be a true king, to stand with true justice from thenceforth the days of his life. Also, then he made all lords that held of the crown to come in, and to do service as they ought to do. And many complaints were made unto Sir Arthur of great wrongs that were done since the death of King Uther, of many lands that were bereaved, lords, knights, ladies, and gentlemen. Wherefore King Arthur made the lands to be given again unto them that owned them. When this was done, that the king had stabilized all the countries about London, then he let make Sir Kay seneschal of England, and Sir Baldwin of Britain was made constable, and Sir Ulfius was made chamberlain, and Sir Brastias was made warden to wait upon the north from Trent forwards. For it was that time the most party of the king's enemies. But within few years after Arthur won all the north, Scotland, and all that were under their obeisance, also Wales, a part of it, held against Arthur, but he overcame them all, as did the remnant through the noble prowess of himself and his knights of the Round Table. So far, the story of Excalibur is pretty similar to La Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory, but I'm going to move ahead to one of the biggest departures between the book and the movie that we love so well. I've jumped ahead to chapter 19, XIX, that's 19, and this is still in book 1. This is the origin story of Arthur still. And now we get to the origin of a really important character here, Mordred, his son. Chapter 19. How King Arthur rode to Carleon, and of his dream, and how he saw the questing beast. Then, after the departing of King Ban and of King Bors, King Arthur rode into Carleon, and thither came to him King Lot's wife of Orkney, in a manner of a message, but she was sent thither to espy the court of King Arthur. And she came richly beseen with her 4 sons, Gawain, Gaheris, Agravine, and Gareth, with many other knights and ladies. For she was a passing fair lady, therefore the king cast great love unto her, and desired to lie by her. And so they agreed, and he begat upon her Mordred, and she was his sister on his mother's side, Igraine. So there she rested her a month, and at the last departed. Then the king dreamed a marvelous dream, whereof he was sore adread. But all this time King Arthur knew not that King Lot's wife was his sister. Thus was the dream of Arthur. Him thought there was come into this land griffins and serpents, and him thought they burnt and slew all the people in the land. And then him thought he fought with them, and they did him passing great harm, and wounded him full sore. But at the last he slew them. And when the king awaked, he was passing heavy of his dream, and so to put it out of thoughts, he made him ready with many knights to ride a hunting. As soon as he was in the forest, the king saw a great hart afore him. This hart will I chase, said King Arthur. And so he spurred the horse and rode after long. And so by fine force oft he was like to have smitten the hart, whereas the king had chased the hart so long that his horse lost his breath and fell down dead. Then a yeoman fetched the king another horse. So the king saw the hart ambushed, and his horse dead. He set him down by a fountain, and there he fell in great thoughts. And as he sat so, him thought he heard a noise of hounds, so to the sum of 30. And with that the king saw coming toward him the strangest beast that ever he saw or heard of. So the beast went to the well and drank, and the noise was in the beast's belly, like unto the questing of 30 couple hounds. But all the while the beast drank, there was no noise in the beast's belly. And there with the beast departed, and with a great noise, whereof the king had great marvel. And so he was in a great thought, and therewith fell asleep. Right so there came a knight afoot unto Arthur, and said, Knight full of thought and sleepy, tell me if thou sawest a strange beast pass this way. Such one I, said King Arthur, that is past 2 mile. What would ye with the beast? Said Arthur. Sir, I have followed that beast long time, and killed mine horse, so would God I had another to follow my quest. Right so came one with the king's horse, and when the knight saw the horse, he prayed the king to give him the horse. For I have followed this quest this 12-month, and either I shall achieve him, or bleed of the best blood of my body. Pellinore, that time king, followed the questing beast, and after his death Sir Palamedes followed it. Chapter 20. How King Pellinore took Arthur's horse and followed the questing beast, and how Merlin met with Arthur. Sir Knight, said the king, leave that quest and suffer me to have it, and I will follow it another 12-month. Ah, fool, said the knight unto Arthur, it is in vain thy desire, for it shall never be achieved but by me or my next kin. Therewith he started unto the king's horse, and mounted into the saddle, and said, Gramercy, this horse is my own. Well, said the king, thou mayst take my horse by force, but an I might prove thee whether thou were better on horseback or I. Well, said the knight, seek me here when thou wilt, and here nigh this well thou shalt find me, and so passed on his way. Then the king sat in a study, and bade his men fetch his horse as fast as ever they might. Right so came by him Merlin, like a child of 14 year of age, and saluted the king, and asked him why he was so pensive. I may well be pensive, said the king, for I have seen the marvelous sight that ever I saw. That know I well, said Merlin, as well as thyself, and of all thy thoughts, but thou art but a fool to take thought, for it will not amend thee. Also I know what thou art, and who was thy father, and of whom thou wert begotten. King Uther Pendragon was thy father, and begat thee on Igraine. That is false, said King Arthur. How shouldest thou know it? For thou art not so old of years to know my father. Yes, said Merlin, I know it better than ye or any man living. I will not believe thee, said Arthur, and was wroth with the child. So departed Merlin, and came again in the likeness of an old man, of 80 years of age, Wherefore the king was right glad, for he seemed to be right wise. Then said the old man, Why are ye so sad? I may well be heavy, said Arthur, for many things. Also here was a child, and told me many things that meseemeth he should not know, for he was not of age to know my father. Yes, said the old man, the child told you truth, and more would he have told you, and ye would have suffered him. But ye have done a thing late that God is displeased with you, for ye have lain by your sister, and on her ye have gotten a child that shall destroy you and all the knights of your realm. What are ye, said Arthur, that tell me these tidings? I am Merlin, and I was he in the child's likeness. Ah, said King Arthur, ye are a marvelous man, but I marvel much of thy words that I must die in battle. Marvel not, said Merlin, for it is God's will your body to be punished for your foul deeds. But I may well be sorry, said Merlin, for I shall die a shameful death, to be put in the earth quick, and ye shall die a worshipful death. And as they talked this, came one with the king's horse. And so the king mounted on his horse, and Merlin on another, and so rode unto Carleon. And anon the king asked Ector and Ulfius how he was begotten. And they told him Uther Pendragon was his father, and Queen Igraine his mother. Then he said to Merlin, I will that my mother be sent for, that I may speak with her, and if she say so herself, then will I believe it. In all haste the queen was sent for, and she came and brought with her Morgan le Fay, her daughter, that was as fair a lady as any might be, and the king welcomed Igraine in the best manner. Chapter 21, How Ulfius impeached Queen Igraine, Arthur's mother, of treason, and how a knight came and desired to have the death of his master revenged. Right so came Ulfius, and said openly that the king and all might hear that were feasted that day, Ye are the falsest lady of the world, and the most traitress unto the king's person. Beware, said Arthur, what thou sayest. Thou speakest a great word. I am well aware, said Ulfius, what I speak, and here is my glove to prove it upon any man that will say the contrary, that this Queen Igraine is causer of your great damage and of your great war. And she would have uttered it in the life of King Uther Pendragon, of the birth of you, and how ye were begotten, ye had never had the mortal wars that ye have had. For the most part of your barons of your realm knew never whose son ye were, nor of whom ye were begotten, and she that bare you of her body should have made it known openly, in excusing of her worship and yours, and in likewise to all the realm. Wherefore I prove her false to God and to you and to all your realm, and who will say the contrary, I will prove it on his body. Then spake Igraine and said, I am a woman, and I may not fight, but rather than I should be dishonored, there would some good man take my quarrel. More, she said, Merlin knoweth well, and yes, Sir Ulfius, how King Uther came to me in the castle of Tintagil in the likeness of my lord that was dead 3 hours to 4, and thereby gat a child that night upon me. And after the 13th day King Uther wedded me, and by his commandment, when the child was born, it was delivered unto Merlin and nourished by him. And so I saw the child never after, nor wot not what is his name, for I knew him never yet. And there, Ulfius said to the queen, Merlin is more to blame than ye. Well, I wot, said the queen, I bear a child by my lord King Uther, but I wot not where he is become. Then Merlin took the king by the hand, saying, This is your mother, and therewith Sir Ector bare witness how he nourished him by Uther's commandment. And therewith King Arthur took his mother, Queen Igraine, in his arms and kissed her, and either wept upon other. And then the king let make a feast that lasted 8 days. Then on a day there came in the court a squire on horseback, leading a knight before him wounded to the death, and told him how there was a knight in the forest, had reared up a pavilion by a well, and hath slain my master, a good knight, his name was Miles. Wherefore I beseech you that my master may be buried, and that some knight may revenge my master's death. Then the noise was great of the knight's death in the court, and every man said his advice. Then came Griflet, that was but a squire, and he was but young of the age of the King Arthur. So he besought the king for all his service that he had done him to give the order of knighthood. So there, I have gotten us through 21 chapters of book one, and we're going to stop there. So far, you might say, well, the Borman movie is following this okay, pretty well. He cut out some characters. He had Arthur begat Mordred with Morgan Le Fay, not Morgaine. I'm going to pause on that and double check that actually, now that I speak it out loud. Yes, Helen Mirren was cast as Morgan Le Fay or Morgana, and clearly in Mallory's, it was a different sister that Arthur lay with and begat upon her Mordred. The circumstances surrounding Uther Pendragon's death was much different than in Mallory's than in the movie. Merlin's role is significantly more diminished in this tale than it is in Borman's Excalibur, and the circumstances around Arthur becoming the king was significantly different. Borman encapsulates a lot of it through rushed, fewer scenes. That makes sense when you're making a movie, obviously, and this is not a versus. I'm just trying to point out that this is really spinning in a totally different direction than the movie. The sword that was drawn from the stone is not named in this book as Excalibur. I believe it does get a name, but it's not Excalibur. So a lot is made of Excalibur in the movie. Obviously, it is called, and I'm pointing for those of you just listening back to my poster, the movie's called Excalibur. So we're going to stop it there, though, for February as the cold weather continues to force us to hibernate. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of M.W. Reed's Great Literature in the Worlds of M.W. Lewis. Until next time, stay warm, my friends.
Don't forget to explore the many worlds in your own mind.